What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, OTB Nation? Welcome into episode number 335 of the award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA ranked, and of course presented by Shootout For Soldiers and viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia podcast network. It's KB and Deej, fresh off our trip to Baltimore. We're going to recap everything there. And this is going to be an episode that is unprecedented and unlike any other we have done in the history, really, of the Outside the Box podcast. We're going to get real. We're going to get kind of unfiltered and really just like speak our minds on how some things are going with certain teams. And I'm sure you guys can kind of deduce which teams those will be. And I typically am not one to get like this with my media background and kind of, towing the line of fan and media member and knowing when to push the button. But when you get inspired by certain people in this space who want you to put your best foot forward, who want you to ask the tough questions, it's time for me to ask some tough questions. And we will get into all of it and then some, because I think all of our listeners deserve it. I think anyone who watches, listens, or consumes our content deserves this from me, from you, and for us to just get raw and unfiltered every once in a while. And this weekend kind of summed it up perfectly for it to occur. So before we get into everything, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at OTBLaxPod, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook, you name it. We're on that social media platform. Follow DJ STS_next great. Follow Chase at the PLL Pipeline. Follow Hoots because he's going to be boots, or should I say Hoots, on the ground in Denver and Utah the next couple of weeks at Hoots Sport Media. He's going to be taking photos, going to press conferences in person for us, really helping out the old East Coast time zone boys with a lot of things and allowing me to not have to stress and worry too much. And I get to take a nice little vacation day tomorrow throughout the day. So you won't see me till PLL after dark. But follow Hoots for sure. Very excited to see all his content coverage for us. And of course, subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave a 5-star rating and review. It goes a long way for helping the show continue to grow, helps more people find the pod, helps more people just get in touch with the Outside the Box podcast, and allows us to do more dope stuff with and for you guys, which, hey, we can't say nothing, but I'm just saying a couple months is going to be fucking sick, bro.
I'm really excited for the next couple months. Like, this is my favorite part of the PLL season. As things wind down, the playoff picture is solidified, and then the playoff run happens. The month of September, outside of my birthday being in it, is a very special month.
It's going to be a ton of fun from start to finish, and then some. So yeah, follow us, subscribe to the pod, Apple and Spotify. And of course, subscribe to both the Underground Sports Philadelphia and Outside the Box podcast YouTube channels. It's youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia, which is where you get full video episodes of this show every week, full video episodes of every show on our network, including daily episodes of our brand new project that just started in late July, and that is Like the Flame Olympics podcast. Get that wherever you get your podcasts, and you can watch it on the YouTubes. Deej is a part of that project. I'm a part of that project. I think Deej and I are going to be recording tomorrow's episode potentially together. So yeah, you'll get more of KB and Deej, but with just an Olympic twist on it, and we'll have a lot to talk about there. We had a lot to talk about today. And, as these Olympics, get closer and closer to closing. That just means we're one day closer to us having a content house, hopefully. Fingers crossed, if you guys keep supporting, have a content house out in LA in 2028 so we can cover lacrosse in the Olympics, boots on the fucking ground. But we can't do that unless you guys subscribe. So subscribe to the YouTube channels, and it's youtube.com/@underground sports Philadelphia, youtube.com/@OTBLaxPod. Smash the like button, ring the bell icon, leave a comment down below your thoughts on everything we discuss on the episode today. And of course, this show is presented by our very dear and near and wonderful friends at Shootout For Soldiers. They are truly the best, and I want to pull up the exact number because they had another successful premiere event this weekend in Virginia while Deej and I were in Baltimore. Shootout For Soldiers, you want to talk about paving the way. They have truly been paving the way for over a decade now with bridging community with lacrosse. And a very awesome article was written about one of the OGs of Shootout For Soldiers in the Baltimore Sun this past weekend, and that is our guy, friend of the program, RJ Kaminsky. We will link that article in the description. Definitely check that out. It is 1,020,000,000% worth the read. Could not be prouder to know RJ and to consider him a friend and a colleague in this media space and in the lacrosse world. So RJ got his start with Shootout For Soldiers, and their mission is taking lacrosse and uniting it with veteran support. And their mission is to use lacrosse as a platform to support American veterans and foster community engagement with a decade of dedicated collaboration from local communities, lacrosse players, and U.S. military. Shootout For Soldiers has emerged as a highly regarded industry partner, offering an unmissable and eagerly anticipated event. And like I said, an eagerly anticipated event. Virginia Shootout For Soldiers this past weekend. Deej raised $44,476 for the local veteran community, which is just so awesome. What a number. And to put it in comparison, 44,000 and some change there. Canandaigua raised $72,158 last week. Long Island raised, I believe, close to that as well, if I'm not mistaken. Another 50K for Long Island. They have been, I'm sorry, Long Island raised more than that. $175,572 on Long Island. Just an absolutely incredible number there. And all year long, they have been doing unbelievable work to bridge community and lacrosse together, along with our nation's veterans. And established in 2012 as a high school project, this event has experienced remarkable growth in both reach and impact, raising over $5 million to champion veteran service organizations with unwavering dedication to their mission. Along with that over $5 million, they have raised they've brought in over 7,500 attendees and over 2,500 players to their events. You want to find out how to get involved? They do have one more premier event this season before Wall Ball for Warfighters kicks in later in November. But Baltimore weekend at USA Lacrosse headquarters, September 7th and 8th is their final premier event of the year. Find a way to get out there. Trust me, going to a Shootout For Soldiers event is a one-of-a-kind experience. Go to that event, experience it, bring your local team, bring your friends, your family, find out ways to get involved. Click the link in the description and visit shootoutforsoldiers.com/events and figure out ways to get involved with Shootout For Soldiers. And we thank them for being a proud partner of the Outside the Box podcast and the presenting sponsor of our show. Deej, let's start with the good. Let's start the pod off on good vibes. Okay? We're going to recap Baltimore. We're going to recap Baltimore in just a minute in terms of games, all that good stuff. Let's recap Baltimore, the experience for the boy. You experienced Baltimore for the first time. We had laughs. We had great food. We stayed in a pay-to-play hotel. But Deej, give the people your analysis. First-time trip to Baltimore. What was the experience? How did you enjoy your first trip to Baltimore, Maryland?
Weather-wise, I felt right at home. I experienced all kind of seasons in a matter of like 38 hours. So I'm like, yo, this is just like Michigan. I can deal with this. Not too bad. But then, the vibe was great. People obviously love lacrosse down there. Jimmy Seafood was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, give me the. I wanted to wait for the pod, not to cut you off. I wanted to wait for the pod to get your true overall analysis because I could see on your face you were enjoying it, but I wanted to get the full descriptor, the 1 to 10 scale rating of Jimmy Seafood for you. And let me just say, Jimmy Seafood, best hospitality in the world. Like, they are truly one of a kind when it comes to checking in on you. You at one point were like, they're almost checking in on us too much, which, like, I appreciate that because it just shows you the attention to detail that everyone from the top down has in terms of making sure you're having an enjoyable experience. And I'm 99% sure the owner was there when we were there on Friday night. But Deej, your thoughts on the seafood mecca of the East Coast?
I got to give it a solid 8.8. I feel like there could have been a few more options that would have made it a little bit better. The food was absolutely fantastic, though. You could taste the freshness, which I obviously don't get up here in Michigan, so that was a nice difference. It was very well seasoned, and the leftovers were arguably better than when I had them here. That crab mac though was fire. That was probably the best thing I had. The crab cake was really good as well, but the crab mac was just a little bit different. Only thing I missed was some hot sauce. I put some hot sauce on it here though. And yeah, but Jimmy Seafood definitely an 8.8. Like, I think they put a burger, a crab cake burger on the menu that it probably
I think they
slides up
did
to like
have one.
it slides up to like a 9.5. I couldn't find it, so maybe it is on there, and I just couldn't. I look over things all the time, so it may have been that. But yeah, a crab cake burger there probably pushes it up to like 9.5.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they have. I just forget what it's called. It's not like called like crab cake burger. I forget what they call it, but I'm like 90% sure they have one. But I'm telling y'all, if you go to Jimmy Seafood, that fucking crab cake is that like Jimmy's. I need Jimmy Seafood as part of my last meal. Like, that's how good they are. That's how good they are.
Oh,
Genuinely, like, I enjoy going there so much, and it's just such a treat to go there. And like, this is not an ad whatsoever, but like Jimmy Seafood, genuinely sponsor us. Like, we love you guys. They are truly like OG, like, in terms of how you feel you should be treated at a restaurant. Like, they are just on the money all the time. The ambiance is great. Like, it takes like a sports bar, but elevates it with high class food, and it's just such a great time. Um, Always enjoy the visit to Jimmy Seafood. Um, yeah, the weather was quite interesting this weekend. It was unlike any Baltimore weekend I've experienced in the past. Simply because trees were getting uprooted and struck by lightning and the whole 9 yards.
but it was also hotter than
Phew, the devil's gooch.
dude. I couldn't even come up with enough synonyms for how hot it was out there. It was
Man,
ridiculous.
it was hot. But yeah, I mean, the vibes were great. Maryland showed out. Shout out to the kids with the yellow neon snake going around. You've heard of a conga line, but have you heard of a conga snake? They brought
Let's
that
go,
thing.
Whipsnakes. Let's go.
They brought that thing.
They had the most energy of the weekend.
Yes, hands down. Like, no debate. They were unreal.
And that's the
Uh,
best part of a PLL weekend is when
yeah.
kids get into it. Like, it elevates everybody. Like, it makes everybody just get into the experience more because it's like, okay, if they can enjoy this that much, I can enjoy it at least a little bit more. I just wish they were around for a certain team's game to lift some spirits.
And now the bad. Our PLL Baltimore recap is brought to you by our PLL app code. Guys, the PLL app is truly a game changer for Deej and I, and for anybody that uses it. I'm sure it is for Chase as well when he's posting them breaking news posts all the time on the money, like he does. The PLL app is a game changer for anybody who wants to experience just up to the minute, up to the second details about the Premier Lacrosse League, from stories from the beat writers to PLL fantasy, and it's gamified, so there's something to do in the app every single day. Download the PLL app in the App Store, Google Play Store, or go to pll.app. And let me tell you this, you're going to get some XP from the boys. Go to the redeem code section and use code OTBPOD. That's code OTBPOD for 500 XP on your account. That's code OTBPOD in the PLL app in the redeem code section for 500 XP on your account. Truly one of the best apps on my phone, if not like the best when it comes to sports, with tracking games and with fantasy. It keeps your mind sharp with trivia. Keeps you going. I'll tell you this, my picks have been off this year, but I've been dialed in with trivia, not having to like go in and backtrack and like check what the answers are. I am dialed in on trivia this year. We need a PLL like bar trivia team or something popping, because your boy's out here.
Yeah, you getting it like that?
Hey, we out here. What can I say? Download the PLL app. Join the OTB fantasy group as well. Michael Harrison is banging the drum at the top of the standings right now and gloating in everyone's faces about it. So come compete against some of your favorite OTB personalities like myself, Deej, Chase, Hoots, CFO Margie, and all of our fans that are in our app group as well. Download the PLL app, code OTBPOD for 500 XP on your account.
Y'all gonna beat me because I've been trash in fantasy this year,
bro.
I don't want to hear it, bro.
No, like the past 3 weeks, you've caught up to me, and I've fallen off.
Right, I caught up to you. That's how bad I've been.
Hey,
all right.
I
don't want to hear
it.
it.
Start.
I know it's about how I finish. Why you think I've been doing so well?
Yeah,
I'm cooking. I didn't find my
hot
groove now. I can't wait to tell you my team for this week. I cooked something up.
I will say I did get snake bitten, no pun intended, in Baltimore by the injury gods, because I had 2 guys on my squad that got injuries, and I would have hit that 180 point threshold. Got some extra XP.
My Baltimore squad was not it. Not
I was bummed. I was bummed. But yeah, PLL Baltimore. Do I go nuclear now since it was the first game, Deej? Because I was pissed on the sidelines. You know that. Strapping.
I'm strapped in, ready to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, please keep your hands and feet inside the vehicle at all times. There will be bumps, bruises, loops, and a whole lot more. Your brain may get rattled, not concussed, but rattled, because I am about to go absolutely nuclear on the Philadelphia Waterdogs. Sit back and enjoy the ride. This fucking team, bro. This fucking team. You get shut out in the first half. First pro lacrosse game in 20 years to have a shutout in the first half. And when I say before all the, well, actually, nerds come through, I'm talking field lacrosse, you dumb fucks. Anyway, first pro lacrosse game in the field game to have a team get shut out in the first half in 20 years. Have some fucking shame. I don't care that you came out and finally performed in the third quarter and scored 5 goals. Whoop-de-fucking-do. You got your fucking shit handed to you in a brown paper bag like your owner was taking you on a walk in a white people neighborhood. And you shit on someone's yard and they had to pick it up, and guess what? Hey, Sparky, you're carrying it in your mouth into the fucking locker room. Because what the fuck was that dog shit performance, all pun intended? You get moved to ABC every single fucking week, and time and time and time again. I swear this coaching staff has like an embarrassment fetish. They love just dropping the ball time and time again on national television. every single time this team has played on national TV, it has been some sort of new embarrassment that has never plagued the Waterdogs franchise in a regular season that was a normal regular. I'm not talking about the bubble. I'm not talking about year one of existence of this team. That was such an anomaly of a year. Since 2021, this team has not gone through any of this. And guess what? There's one thing that's normal. It's the same roster. You've just added free agents here and there, a little zest. Not many guys have retired from this roster over the past couple of years. What, maybe 3 / left? Because Brody Merrill went to the Cannons for a year and then retired after not playing last year. So you had Steve DiNapoli retire. You had Ryan Drenner go to the Cannons in the expansion draft. You had Ryan Brown retire. Like, there has not been that many high-level talented players that have left this team to where you go number 1 seed in 2021 and you were a game away from making it to the championship game. 2022, you get redemption and you go and win the PLL championship. 2023, you're a Tom Schreiber unbelievable shot away from repeating as PLL champions. 2024 PLL Championship Series, you're a Matt Cav overtime goal away from winning another trophy for your trophy case. To now you have 1 win on the year. 1 win. One thing has changed about this team drastically since the beginning of the franchise, and it's this coaching staff. And I know I am the last person in a major 4 sport to say, depending on the sport, obviously, that the coaching has that big of an influence on the result of a game. The players got to play. But guess what? In a league like the PLL, you got to put your players in the best positions to win. You got to have the right schemes drawn up to play your best. And guess what this coaching staff has failed to do time and time and time and time again? They have failed this roster. They have 1 win. They have been eliminated from playoff contention with 2 weeks to go. And we haven't even gotten to what has happened post-Baltimore with a trade that has put my brain in a pretzel, and I have just been overthinking it time and time again about what the fuck that was. We'll get to that. And here's the thing, and I've told Deej this, I've told so many people this off the pod. I'll give Tierney a little benefit of the doubt. Because guess what? At the end of the day, a majority of this defense has played relatively to pretty damn good this year. Most notably, a rookie in Marcus Hudgens. We've seen Ben Randall take a step forward and become an all-star. Matt Witcher was an all-star this year. Eli Gobrecht has been Eli Gobrecht and has played to Eli Gobrecht standards this year. You've obviously had injuries to Liam Burns and Chris Sabia, and they haven't played a full season, but when they are healthy, they're not playing terribly. They are playing to the standard that you hope your Premier Lacrosse League defense is playing it. As a coach, you need to recognize things are not working in certain aspects, though. And when your all-star Team Canada goalie, and guys, don't even try to put words in my mouth. I love Dylan Ward. Dylan Ward has come on this podcast early on and has been a big-time supporter of this show. And I love Dylan Ward, the person. But guess what? 2024 Dylan Ward has not had it. He has not been the game-changing goalie. He has not been somebody that has been an X factor in any game this year outside of the Minnesota win when he held that Chaos team along with the defense in front of him to 6 goals. Dylan Ward has been more of a reason that the Waterdogs have lost games this year than won games. I should say won a game, including Homecoming Weekend, including Albany, including a multitude of games. Fairfield. And I can't even blame Matt DeLuca for what occurred in Baltimore early on. It's not his fault. But if you're Bill Tierney, you need to recognize, hey, Dylan Ward's not playing well this year. Maybe I need to have a conversation with him and figure out what's going on. And maybe get Matt DeLuca in the net earlier in the season so that this championship-built roster has the ability to do just that and go on a run again for a third consecutive year to potentially win a championship. But guess what? That got pulled up from under you this weekend. Because not only did you lose and take any control you had moving forward out from underneath you, every other team you needed to lose ended up winning. My biggest gripe with this coaching staff is, and I'll flat out say it, and I think you'll agree with me. Can he coach? Sure. Can he coach at the collegiate level? Sure. Does that take away from the fact that he's a bit of a Nepo baby? Absolutely not. Dylan Sheridan cannot coach in the PLL. I don't care that you are Bill Tierney's son-in-law. I don't care that you won with him at Denver. I don't care that you've had successes at other collegiate level programs. It's a whole different game in the PLL, buddy. And I can almost guarantee part of the reason he got hired, because you look at the teams, Deej, you look at the teams who have gotten new coaches since the PLL started. The New York Atlas twice, Chrome, now the Denver Outlaws once, and the Boston Cannons. What are some of the things that those teams have done to help themselves improve time and time again? And I'll even throw in the assistant roles with the Maryland Whipsnakes. Oh, look at that. They have coaches on their staffs who have played in the PLL. Not just played professional field lacrosse. They have played in the PLL. And I was talking to Jerome about this weekend. I genuinely feel like that makes such a difference on a coaching staff where your head coach doesn't have to have 9,000 things on their shoulders coaching a game. When you have somebody, you look at the New York Atlas, both of their assistant coaches, Stephen Brooks, Kevin Unterstein, they both have played PLL rules. And look at the successes they're having right now. And you look at the successes Stephen Brooks has brought to teams that he's coached, whether it was the Atlas in the Champ Series, whether it was the PLL All-Stars, and sure, you can say it's an all-star team, but guess what? Those PLL All-Stars respect the fuck out of Stephen Brooks when he was coaching in Japan for the Japan exhibition series. Kevin Unterstein, we said it on this podcast before it even happened. We said when he retired, the episode we talked about him retiring, we said he's going to make a damn good assistant coach or head coach in the PLL one day. And look at that Atlas defense. You look at the Whipsnakes right now. P.T. Ritchie, they brought in before Drew Snyder, obviously. And look at what he's done for Coach Staggs in the two and a half years he's been part of the staff. You look at Drew Snyder this year. Whipsnakes offense looks a little different. Took them a little bit to get their feet under them. But guess what? They're performing well when it matters. And that's down the stretch here. And they're in the playoffs with a first-year offensive coordinator / assistant coach. And sure, they still have the head man in charge, and that plays a huge difference with Coach Staggs, but Drew Snyder knows what it takes to win in the PLL. He has won in the PLL. He has gotten to the ultimate mountaintop in this league. You look at the Cannons this year. It took a little bit for their defense to mesh because it was brand new defense, brand new players all playing together for the first time. But guess what? You had somebody who can level them out, has played not only in the PLL, but had played for that team last year in Kyle Hartzell. And you look at the Cannons defense right now. Well, you would agree. That Cannons defense down, the past, 4 or 5 weeks has been pretty damn good in front of Kirsty. They found their groove because they have somebody who can lead them and help them navigate that has played in the PLL. The only difference is Chrome / the Outlaws. They brought somebody in who coached at the collegiate level from that Cannons team who was there the year prior. And Deej, that Cannons team went 1-9. That Chrome team following season hired that same guy to come in and coach their offense. They go 1-9. Guess what? That guy's not coaching in the PLL anymore because it didn't work. And I hate to say it after 1 year, but we've seen it happen when you don't have somebody who has coached the PLL and knows the PLL game. Those teams tend to struggle. And right now, the Waterdogs, I think one of their biggest mistakes coming into this season was hiring a rookie PLL head coach and hiring a rookie offensive coordinator who has never coached the PLL game. And I love Sweet Lou. I think he's good at what he does. And the players rode for him and championed for him to get hired. But again, he's a first-year coach on a PLL staff outside of the Champ Series. That was the number one mistake. Looking back at it and having like this full body of work now with 2 weeks to go, number one mistake that Bill Tierney made was not hiring somebody who knows the PLL to his staff. Because week in and week out in these press conferences, he's talking about how, I don't have 4 or 5 days to practice. I don't have it's a lot of college speak and a lot of what he knows. Well, guess what, Coach Tierney? The PLL is different than college. And I think every single coach in the league will tell you that. Now, does that mean he can't find his groove next year as a head coach and get this Waterdogs team back on track? Not saying that at all. But you know what you need to do? You need to kind of put family and business aside and sit Dylan Sheridan down and say, hey, I know we thought this could work. I don't think it's going to. We got to move in a different direction. And you got to hire somebody who has an offensive-minded genius to them and hand them the keys. Like this Waterdogs team, Deech, they are the meme of the Lamborghini in the outdoor garage just parked next to the shack of a house. And nobody has the keys to drive it. This team is too fucking talented to be sitting with 2 weeks to go, already eliminated from the playoffs, and having one win on their record. I think anybody who knows a lick about lacrosse would say the same exact thing. Yourself included. And then, not only do you lose and get yourself eliminated from the playoffs, you then turn around and after putting him in the press conference, after getting embarrassed like that, go and trade Ryan Conrad to the Maryland Whipsnakes for a second-round pick in the 2025 draft? What are we doing? Not only are you now showcasing that maybe you're a little in over your head coaching in the PLL, but now you're showing me you don't know a damn thing about GMing in the PLL. Because right now, on paper, this first draft, which was supposed to be the best draft ever, and granted, as a whole, it has been fantastic. A lot of swings and misses from the Waterdogs. There's been one hit out of 4, and one of them's making their debut this week, so that remains to be seen. Not to slander your guy. We just haven't seen him yet. But again, haven't seen him yet. Your first round pick has looked like, this is a deep cut reference for he looks like Confused the Goose from Arthur, just spinning around out there. He looks completely lost. Kenny Brower has been injured all year, has not played. And Marcus Hudgens has been one of the bright spots of this season. There's just been so many things time and time again with this team that if you push one button the other way, we're looking at a completely different team. Whether it's not being so fucking stubborn and waiting out for Alex Stathakis to come from his master's program and saying, hey, maybe Maybe in a week where we're playing 2 games, we switch some things up. We lost a game already. Maybe we need to go and figure something out here to maybe we can win a game. Because I'm telling you, if they had somebody there, they win that Cannons game. And if they have somebody there against Joe Nardella, maybe he still goes perfect. But maybe you get a possession here and there, and your offense that was just Michael Sowers and Kieran McCardle again scores a goal here and there where you don't go to overtime. Maybe you don't switch out your midfield every single fucking week, and you keep a little consistency, and you're not in a 2-point onslaught against the Denver Outlaws in Fairfield. Maybe, just maybe, you don't say, hey, Ethan Walker, I know you're struggling right now. We're just going to keep throwing you out there. Maybe you say, hey, Ethan Walker, maybe you need a week off. We're going to go and try and win a game. It's nothing against you. But right now, you just don't got it. Maybe take a seat on the bench this week, clear your head, and come back next week with a vengeance. There's just so many things that just reek of the college game in the way that this team has operated this year. And newsflash, it's not the college game. It's the PLL. It's the premier fucking lacrosse league. And I hate to say it, but I sure hope there's some conversations being had that figure out the coaching staff for next year, because you simply cannot run this coaching staff back next year. You cannot. And trading Ryan Conrad for a second-round unknown in next year's draft is, number one, just severely undervaluing Ryan Conrad. Number two, I saw our guy Joe Keegan tweet this. If you're the Outlaws or Chaos and you're running those teams, would you have paid more to get somebody like Ryan Conrad? My answer is yes. Number three, what a slap in the face to Bill Tierney by Jim Stagnita by saying, hey, here's a second-round pick. We'll take Ryan Conrad, who's under contract through 2025, by the way. He's not an expiring contract. I could understand you want to trade Connor Kelly or something like that, where they're an expiring contract. You may not re-sign them in free agency. Sure, whatever. But to trade somebody who's been a staple of this locker room since year one, and I know it's a different coach, but Andy Copeland said time and time again how much he wishes he would have brought Ryan Conrad to the bubble and how much of an upstanding, character guy he is in the locker room, how much of a leader he is. You trade him for pennies on the dollar because he's having a down year in your system? Look at every player on this roster not named Michael Sowers and Kieran McCardle and tell me they're having a fantastic year. They're flat out not. Everyone is underperforming. And the one thing that's changed is the offensive scheme. The one thing that's changed is the head coach. It is crazy to me that you got nickels on the dollar for Ryan Conrad. And then Stagg said, oh, yeah, guess what? We like Ryan Conrad so much, we're going to give him another year extension and sign him through 2026. I've just been disgusted with this team this week. And it's not even the players on the roster. I genuinely feel bad for the players on this roster with the shit they've had to go through this season, knowing that they are built to win championships. That is the Waterdogs culture that they have built since year one. And it just is proven to me that this coaching staff can't coach at this level. And they have to figure something out. And I know they're switching the lineup a shit ton because it doesn't matter now. But guess what? You're coaching for your fucking jobs. So you better figure something out. But again, I digress. This coaching staff cannot be the same coaching staff next year. And if it is, and I'm Michael Sowers and I'm Kieran McCardle, even though he's a free agent at the end of the year, if I'm, any veteran on this roster, I am not having it. You just can't. You can't have a team that is built for success like this turn around and have one win with 2 weeks to go. That's just organizational malpractice. And it pains me because there's so many guys on this team who champion for us to succeed. And that's how I view this in a lot of ways with guys and teams and players and personnel anywhere. If you're rooting for me, I'm rooting for you because I know you got my back at the end of the day. So I'm going to let you know I got your back at the end of the day. And this Waterdogs team is filled with guys who have our back at the end of the day. And I hate seeing them go through this shit. And it's not even because they're a Philadelphia team now with the home cities and everything. This has been a day one thing with this organization. And it just fucking sucks seeing people that you genuinely want to see succeed and thrive in the thing that they are fucking fantastic at be limited in doing so. Time's yours, Deej.
There isn't too much I disagree with you on. I personally am a fan of giving people time, especially when they're new to something. Now, the situation with homie who was coaching with the Chrome and Cannons, that was 2 years in a row that he did the same thing. Warranted. They're coming over from a completely different style of preparedness for a game. They're used to having 2 months of practice before the first game. Then they're used to having 2 to 3 practices in between every game, or at least one.
Sean Kerwin is who we've been trying to remember the name of.
Very different. I think this is a slightly different scenario than them. They have been bad this year, but I think those are growing pains, learning pains, adjustment. It's very like we've said time and time again. The college game is very different than the PLL game. Very different. So to coach in one versus the other is different. You have to give him time to adjust. So I think some of the answer is going to be, I think some of this is going to be resolved over the offseason. I don't necessarily think pulling the plug on the coaches this season is the move. If you get a similar season next year, you got to do it. Pull the plug, move on, find the next move. But this year, take this interesting experience for what it is and vibe out. Look to be very successful next year, which is tough to say, but that's kind of where you're headed in this direction. The RC thing, I think you're a little more upset at the coaching staff than you should be. This was just a smart IQ play by Stags. Obviously, Tierney doesn't know the GM side of things as well as Stags does. So he goes in and gets a high value guy that's probably undervalued in most systems, gets to move him over, fill a spot that he needs filled, and gets to extend him. I don't think the Waterdogs would have not extended Ryan Conrad, but they also don't completely understand the trade value that's going on in the league right now either, because it's their first year. They got to learn. Everything's new to them. Granted, I know you don't feel like there's time to learn because it's a professional sport, but that's just the world, So I definitely agree with most things you have said about their production. I just don't think we pull the plug on them yet. On the other hand, I think it's time for me to say some words I have.
Can I mention one final thing here?
Absolutely.
I'm just looking at comparing like last year's stats wise and production wise for this team. 2023, the Waterdogs had 3 attackmen with 30 or more points, being Ethan Walker, Michael Sowers, Kieran McCardle. They also had Ryan Conrad with double-digit points, Zach Courier with double-digit points, Jake Caraway with double-digit points, Connor Kelly with double-digit points, and Jack Hanna 1 point away from 20 on the year. That's not to mention Thomas McConvey, who had 6 points, and Jeff Connor, who had 4. Looking at this year, and also the Waterdogs in 2023 had 129 scores, 105 one-pointers, 12 two-pointers, 74 assists. The 2024 iteration of the Waterdogs have 74 goals as one-pointers, 6 two-pointers, 43 assists. You have 2 attackmen who should eclipse 30 points yet again in Kieran McCardle and Michael Sowers. Ethan Walker has 8 points on the year, 3 goals, 5 assists, shooting 13.6% on the year. Matt Brandow has 4 points, 3 goals, 1 assist, shooting 16.7% on the year. And those are your only attackmen who have registered points because Mikey Boehm has not played yet. Your midfield, Thomas McConvey has been a nothing burger for you this year. Mikey Schlosser has 1 point on the season, and that's the 1 goal he scored in Fairfield. Jake Carraway has 7 points on the season, shooting 30%. Jack Hanna has 8 points on the season, shooting 13.9%. Zach Currier has 13 points on the season, shooting 44.4%. And Connor Kelly has 14 points on the year, 1 two-pointer, shooting 20%. Just goes back to the discussion that I just had, the diatribe that I just gave, that the midfield inconsistencies have been a problem because
once again,
it's not the same lineup every week.
Once again, they're learning. Like in college, if your first line middies don't do it, you move up your second line and make them your first. And if they don't do it, you move up your third. Like you just figure it out. They're just doing what they know how to do. You gotta give them time.
I'm just saying here as well, it drives me fucking insane that you're 2 propped up boys, they're going to thrive because they're reunited. What the fuck have Jack and I know Jack was injured to start the year, so he hasn't played a full season for sure. But Jack Hanna and Ethan Walker have been disappointments. The fact that Jake Carraway was on a protected roster 2 weeks in a row and he hasn't really been given a fair shake, in my opinion, this year, that's a red flag. And Connor Kelly's just had a very down year for Connor Kelly standards. And Zach Currier kind of got hindered a bit in the first 3 weeks of the year because he was taking faceoffs. But that's just me. Deej, the floor is yours.
For me, this sucks. It sucks. Year 1, I pledged myself to 2 teams that I still rock heavy with to this day. The California Redwoods and the Carolina Chaos. Year 1, I was in Columbus and was a part of the first Let's Go Redwoods chant. I remember watching that first championship game, getting possession and thinking, oh, this is it. Redwoods won the first championship. Oh my God. Of course we blew it. And then Rambo wins it. I remember that and went, that's fine. This team's going to be right back here. This team's solid. And guess where they haven't been since 2019? The championship game. Haven't even sniffed it. Because last year they make it to the semis and embarrass themselves against the Boston Cannons. Absolutely embarrass themselves. Disgusting. Or sorry, not the Cannons, the Archers. Disgusting. Tied for the worst offensive output, I believe 2 times. 3 goals. You put up 3 goals in 48 minutes of a professional lacrosse game? And you know what wasn't too much better? This fucking weekend in Baltimore. 5 goddamn goals. 5. And it doesn't help you gave up 18. And if it wasn't for the weather, you surely would have had the biggest blowout in PLL history because you were sure enough creeping up on it. That still belongs to the Atlas, who got beat 25-7 in that playoff pick game, or that first overall pick game. But what's the real problem with the Redwoods? The offense sucks. It's awful. Downright disgusting. The worst offense in the league. You can say your Waterdogs offense is worse. It is not.
Their shooting percentage-wise, they are almost even. Redwoods are shooting 22.7% this year. The Waterdogs are shooting 22.3%.
And we're still worse. That 0.4 ain't shit. This is the worst offense.
Scores-wise, there's less. You have 79 scores to the Waterdogs, 86.
The only reason I say that is because the Waterdogs actually, even though their offense is bad, they still create opportunities. They just aren't hitting the net / getting them saved. The Redwoods aren't creating opportunities. How can you call yourself a professional athlete, let alone, how can you call yourself a professional lacrosse player if you're going to stand and watch a guy dodge? As a midi, as an attackman.
I think that's one thing that the Waterdogs and Redwoods have in common this year is just underperformance in the midfield is an understatement.
Okay, but it's for two different reasons.
For sure. I'm just saying,
very different reasons.
Both teams' midfields, we can both agree they're underperforming different ways, but they're underperforming, and that's
it's not just our midfield that's underperforming. The attack is just as bad. The attack's awful. The attack is just as bad. That's the real problem with this, is they're not producing either. And it's been the same problem for 4 years now, where the offense is stagnant. Romar Dennis has 14 points as a California Redwood. 14 this season. I don't even think that's right. I think it's lower than 10. That. 10. Thank you.
It's all 2-pointers.
Miles Jones has 23. Do you know why Miles Jones is doing better? Because his offense moves the ball and moves each other. They move their feet. It's that simple. They move their feet and they move the ball. That's how you play lacrosse. You learn that when you first pick up a stick playing travel ball in 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, especially for most of these guys. You clear out space. You fade. You cut. Whatever you have to do, you do so that you are active. You're looking for the pass. You're trying to finish a shot. You don't stand like a goddamn traffic cone or pylon and watch a dude with googly eyes while he dodges on 3 people and turns it over or takes a horrible shot. That's not lacrosse.
There's 2 guys on the Redwoods who have a shooting percentage that's 33.3% or higher this year. Can you name who they are?
Westberg.
Correct. Shooting 55% on 98 touches, by the way, which is the lowest of any attackman on the team.
And is somebody stupid, like, not stupid, but somebody who doesn't really play like Ryan Tierney or Alex Simmons?
No, it is.
Don't tell me. Okay.
Oh, my bad.
It's okay. I was gonna run through some others.
Cole Kurse is at that 33.3% threshold. Everyone else is below that, though, by a large margin.
Not the least bit surprised. Been running into the same stuff all year. all year long. And nothing has been done about it. But the real hard-hitting question that absolutely nobody wants to ask is, what is the direction this Redwood teams take? Are you getting rid of Rob Pennell and Ryder Garnsey and reconstructing your entire offense? Or do you get rid of the coaching staff? The whole coaching staff, part of the coaching staff, scratch that. Chris Collins, you safe, big dog. That D been solid since year one. Hasn't moved. And even with all the moving pieces you had this year, that defense has still been spectacular. Jack Kelly, great. TD, great. That side, those have been handling their business. But the rest, I don't get. John Grant Jr., you have how many points in your career?
He's genuinely my biggest concern's not the word, but my biggest, like, what do you do?
Nothing.
Like,
from what I can see, he does nothing.
I don't find it odd that the true Redwoods offensive decline has coincided with the arrival of John Grant Jr. as the offensive coordinator and Rob Pennell just getting older.
Yeah.
Like, I still think Ryder Garnsey, very talented player. And I think you would agree. Kid can play out of his mind. Do I think he's having just a weird down year? Absolutely. He has not been prototypical Ryder Garnsey. Can you chalk that up as just like an anomaly year, kind of like I'm chalking it up for Connor Kelly? You can. I would like to see Ryder Garnsey play with somebody else not named Rob Pennell at that X-attackman spot and see how he plays. Because he hasn't had that since year one. And if you want to count the bubble, sure. But even then, that was just a weird Redwoods team altogether. Ryder Garnsey hasn't had a multifaceted ex-attackman for the majority of his PLL career. So
also,
take that for what you will.
Nat, love you, big dog. And you have made some phenomenal moves as a head coach / GM. But what the fuck were you thinking getting Chris? I'm sure you couldn't have foreshadowed what happened, but like, go get Will Manny. That was free, not a pick needed. Go get somebody else out of the player pool. You signed Alex Simmons. Why go get Chris Gray anyway? Not that they're the same player, but you haven't done anything with him.
I also feel like this Redwoods team, very similar to last year's Chrome team, where they were sitting around kind of waiting and relying on a player for their offensive scheme, and it just never panned out. And this is no disrespect to the player, because I genuinely think he's a great dude. I don't understand why Ryan Lee is still on this roster. The dude hasn't played since 2021 in a Redwoods uniform. Why are you holding up a roster spot for somebody when they're not going to play? The dude's been injured. He's been battling back from knee injuries. He's not getting any younger. I just don't understand the consumption of a roster spot for somebody that is not going to play for this team. And that, to me, is the stubbornness of John Grant Jr. because he played with Ryan Lee in Denver. And it's like holding on to a roster spot for one of his boys. He hasn't played. I know he is like the prototypical John Grant Jr. offensive player, but guess what? He's not walking through that door. It's time to move on.
That's not the problem. I don't even
It's
care
not.
about that.
But it's
That's
like one of those underlying things
Mm.
that builds up to where you are now.
That is so arbitrary. That is so arbitrary. Like they did, like Ryan Lee being on the roster doesn't mean anything when he's not. He's barely touching the 25. Like he's on it, but like he's like the last guy on it. He's not touching the 19. The 19 has the talent it needs to be successful. The coaches are not making it successful. Flat out. Jarrett Connors was a great move. Chris Gray was not a great move. Plain and simple. Hopefully you got something in the works to swindle something to better this draft and better this team, because that's what it needs. And then this came up this weekend. I don't really know how I feel about it, but is it time to move on from Nat? I don't know. Because there's certain parts about Nat that make him a phenomenal coach. The way he speaks, how he believes in his team, the way he motivates, and some of the schematical things that he does have. His management of the game at certain times. But also, he's just, if we want to be honest, Nat, you're a GM. You're a GM. You are phenomenal at constructing rosters. Over the 5 years of the PLL, the Redwoods have had one of the best rosters every single year. On paper, you are very good. And not even just on paper. Because when you look at the 2 wins the Redwoods have this year, they look like one of the best teams in the league in those games. Because he knows how to put rosters together. But you don't know how to. And it's not just you. John's a part of this as well. You guys aren't doing a good job at making this team successful and putting people in the right space. And it's not just one guy that they're waiting on. They're all just looking at each other to do something. Nobody wants to be the guy to do something. But also, if somebody's doing something, move. That's the thing. There's no action on the offensive end. There's no off-ball picks for Chris Gray to get open and peel off a screen and get a wide open shot. There's no backdoor cuts. There's no movement in the crease outside of Westberg. There's a reason he's shooting so well and gets open so often, because he's the only one that's moving. Movement works. Standing and watching does not. That's the problem. And it has been the problem for the last 4 years. Defense does a phenomenal job at keeping this team in games when they can. TD does a phenomenal job at getting this offense the ball. But when you can't score, when you're turning it over consistently, that doesn't do anything but put pressure on your defense, who's playing a ton of it and ends up giving up a bunch of goals. So at the end of the day, the thing for the Redwoods is you either change up your attack line and move away from what you currently have in some sort of fashion, or you change up the coaching staff in some sort of fashion. That's it. Something has to be done this offseason. It has been 5 years of the same shit. And you know what we call that? Insanity. Doing the same thing, expecting a different result is literal insanity. And that's what the Redwoods are. And I'm tired of being a fan that buys into this fucking insanity. I feel like a Lions fan right now from years ago. Shout out to the Lions who for the longest bought into the insanity, and it's finally working out. But I'm not going to be that kind of fan that buys into insanity. I'm going to call you out on your BS. And right now, the Redwoods have been full of bullshit for the last 4 years. And I'm fed up with it.
Is it weird to say that
At this point, as often as I'm referred to as a Redwoods player, put me on the fucking field. Maybe I'll fucking help. Every time I'm out and about and I got on a Redwoods fucking hoodie, someone goes, "Oh, you played for the Redwoods?" Shit, at this point I fucking do. I could be 2-6 in the damn PLL. Obviously, this is all sarcasm and total bullshit because I can't get out there and actually play with these guys. But at the performance rate of the Redwoods, I'm taking some of the best players off my college squad and saying they can get out there and run.
Isn't it weird how in a major 4 sport, typically when things are going awry, it's like, all right, the easy thing to do is fire the coach. I think this Redwoods team is like the inverse, and the easy thing is to blow the fucking roster up. Because as much as like it's been frustrating, I genuinely still think Nat St. Laurent can coach in this league. And I do think, been talking to some people, pretty soon, I don't know how soon, but I think down the line, we're going to see teams have the role of coach and GM split up. And I think that's going to benefit a lot of coaches where they don't have that double burden on their shoulder. There's some that can do it. There's some people that are very, very talented at the dual role in a lot of sports. Look at Andy Reid. He's very talented at it in the NFL. You look at Bill Belichick for years, was able to do it for the Patriots. You look at the PLL level, I think you and I would both agree, two that stand out that are active head coaches / GMs are Andy Towers and Chris Bates. Those two know how to coach, and they know how to put together a roster and trade for pieces that fit what they're trying to put out on the field to a T. And I think we both would agree Andy Copeland was the same way. Was a phenomenal coach and GM. Remains to be seen with a lot of people. And I think it's early in his GM process just because his roster was together for such a long time. But I think for what he's done, Stags is proving he can do it too. But there's a lot of things that come with that role, and it's added pressure. And I think it can get to a person. Like, at the end of the day, we got to remember these guys are human. And that added pressure can be a lot and can interfere with some of your other roles that you have within a team. Mike Pressler said it to me in a press conference this year. The most important role in the PLL right now is the GM job. That's coming from a current active head coach and GM on the record in a press conference. The most important role is the GM job. And that's why I think sooner rather than later, we need to have, if they so choose, teams have a dedicated GM and a dedicated head coach, because I think for some of these guys, it's taking away from their ability to be their best at being a coach or being a GM, whichever they so choose.
I would love to see that happen, and I think that would really benefit the Redwoods a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And there's many different avenues that could go down, but I've said my piece, and I will just patiently wait for the off season to see what's going to be done about that.
Did you see Hayden's article today or yesterday that came out?
Something about trading somebody?
Trading Rob to Chaos.
I did see that.
If I'm Nat, I'm hearing what AT has to say and doing it in a heartbeat. Get a jump start on it now. I don't care what you said in the press conference on Long Island last year, saying that as long as he's in the PLL for the rest of his career, Rob's going to be in a Redwoods jersey. C'est la vie, buddy. Get something for an aging player to put in your back pocket.
Yep.
I do that in a heartbeat. A heartbeat. Because guess what? Andy Towers ain't going to put up with that bullshit that we saw from Rob Pennell in that press conference. I'll tell you that much. No offense to Rob, and I know that game was an embarrassment, but brother, you're supposed to be a face and a leader on that team, and to be a pouty little teenager in that press conference was embarrassing. I was genuinely stunned by the way Rob Pennell carried himself in that press conference. And I get he's a competitor. I get he wants to win. I get he's getting to the end of his career. But brother, you got to put on a game face. Put on a brave face. And just do the damn thing. It's going to last you all of maybe 10 minutes most. I was disappointed in Rob Pennell from that aspect. And like I mentioned, I get it's tough to lose. It's tough to lose in that fashion, but you got to be a professional. And I know we as media, it is a privilege to have access at press conferences and everything, but it was just very unprofessional from Rob, and that's just not who he is, at least media facing. And it was just a disappointment to see the way he carried himself, especially when on the opposite side of things, when it's just as hot and just as tension filled for Nat. Nat conducted himself in a way that he gave answers, he delivered, and there have been far not as bad losses where Nat was more pissed off in those scenarios, and you could feel it from him. Nat put on that brave face and was able to conduct that press conference in a way that I was like, damn, like that's admirable.
Fall back, bro. Fall back. That's nah. Like, was I happy with what he gave us? Obviously not. But like at the same time, they keep putting him in this position. So at this point, he's beating a dead horse. I wouldn't have much to say either. It's almost like every time he goes out to a press conference, it's offense didn't show up again today. Like how many different ways can he say that?
Which then that's on the league to be like, hey, give us somebody else.
I agree. So like, don't blame him. Like, was he quote unquote wrong for it? Yes, but like when you look at it, how else is he really supposed to act? In week 8 when he's done this 6 times already this year, this exact thing. Like you could have pulled anybody else out of the locker room. Yeah, fuck it, give us Chase Erling because he's back at Hopkins, and he actually got to play. Sure, it didn't go over well, but there's plenty of things we can offload with that going with Chase. Instead of getting Rob, who everybody in the world knows was not in a good mood. You didn't even have to see him to know he wasn't going to be in a good mood after that game. That's on both sides. Rob has to be better, even in a loss. But I do very much understand where he's coming from. In the league, I understand you want to put certain like faces in certain places at certain times, but also like read the room, right? Like give guys a break and let them like be human. Cause like he doesn't get a chance to like humanly accept the loss. I don't know the last time Rob Pennell wasn't in a press conference after a loss, especially a bad one.
Well, they didn't put him in the
It may have been, I say it may have been one.
because he was in the day prior when they won.
So 1. Good. But like, fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like this dude doesn't get a chance to just everybody accepts losses differently. I'm a lot like Rob when I lose. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't care. I'm upset. I could have done this better. I could have done that better. Let me just get over it and I'll be fine later. You can ask my teammates from the beginning of me playing sports. If we lost the second the clock hit zeros, I had the worst attitude about it. And when we got on the bus, don't say a fucking word to me because I'm going to sleep. Don't even wake me up when coach says to wake everybody else up. If he's got a problem with it, I'll tell him later because I don't care. We fucking lost again. And that's Rob's attitude. And I totally get it. It's a read the room thing from both sides. That's my piece on that.
Hey, I'm surprised you didn't tear into number 1.
It's not entirely his fault. Is he having a bad year? Sure, but like he's not in an equative system to be successful either. I'm hardly blaming the players. The only thing I blame the players for is to not adjust and just play. You see it in high school, you see it in college and stuff all the time. When the game plan that coach has ain't working, homies just start doing what they got to do to be successful because they grab their balls and say, I'm a man. I have pride. You're not going to kick my ass like this.
I thought you were going to say, I'm 40.
Like, my thing is, that would have been hilarious. But, you know, like, my thing is, you got to have a sense of pride. Like, you might lose, but the guys across from you are going to respect you. That's the attitude you got to have. Like, they're going to come to you in the handshake line and be like, yo, homie, tough game. But, like, you balled out. You don't have anything to hang your head for. Like, you just got to get that energy in the rest of your team. Like, You have to go out and seek that respect for yourself in a game like that. Nobody on the Redwoods, hardly anybody on the Redwoods is doing that, and I really hate it. That's my piece on that, is like, that's the only thing the players could be doing better. The rest of it is on the coaches for not making sure that all their players are in respective positions to be successful. That's your job as a coach. You have 3 jobs as a coach. Manage the flow of the game with timeouts and plays and etc. Subbing. Make sure players are in the right positions to be successful. And yell and berate refs to get calls. Those are the 3 things you have to do as a goddamn coach. Especially at the pro level. And somehow you're not fucking doing it. What the hell are Mike and Paul paying you for if you're not doing your goddamn job? Because let me tell you, let me spend 5 years, even at my upstart high school program, doing the shit y'all are doing. They're going to fire my ass and probably promote my assistant. Or just go find someone new. Because sure, we're a startup, but it's still about winning and progressing and making sure students are doing what they're supposed to do and get better. Your job is to make sure these pros are getting better when you have them with you and to put them in successful positions to be good, and you're not doing that. Get it together, Redwoods coaching staff, minus Collins. And we're in a much better position. Making it real tough on the Redwoods fans out here. We're hurting. Do you know how whack Redwoods Twitter is right now?
It's always been whack, bro. Don't
shut up.
Don't do that.
Shut up. Redwoods Twitter is not whack.
I'm
not talking about the community. I'm not talking about the community.
I'm not either.
I'm talking about just the people talking about Redwoods. There's always been excitement about this Redwoods team and how much they can do and really pointing out the highlights when they happen. This year ain't none of that. Everybody's like, this Redwood team sucked. Everybody.
There's like 5 people that are normal on Redwoods Twitter.
That don't mean I ain't talking about the normalness. I'm talking about the excitement, the want to tweet about them, the need to engage with other Redwoods fans about how good the team is. That's non-existent this year because the goodness of the team is non-existent. We're not even tweeting about how bad we are. We just stopped tweeting. At least the Waterdogs are still tweeting and saying how bad they are.
You just tweet at 3 a.m. Thinking the games are still on live.
I didn't think they were still on live. I was just tweeting as if I was watching them live. It provides more excitement.
We gotta keep it pushing.
I'm good.
We got 2 more games to touch on, but yeah, we had to wax poetic there. Game of the year ? So far ? Happened on Sunday, and it was Chaos Archers. It's always a fucking movie. We've been trying to tell y'all for years. This is the rivalry that the PLL needs to uplift and put on a pedestal and promote, and even more so now because it's a Western Conference game. Put this thing on the top of the podium and just let it cook, because this game had everything. It had a goalie goal. It had 1,000 career saves from our guy Blaze Reardon. It was back and forth. It was feisty. It was electric. And it was a joy to watch. And everyone was thoroughly entertained by this game. KJ47, I know he's wearing 1 right now, but he'll always be KJ47 to me. Scoring an in-between-the-legs goal and getting on the SportsCenter top 10. Hawaii did my boy good. And the Archers didn't go down without a fight. We were worried in that first quarter. And then the Archers got it to 6-4, and I said, we got a game. And you said, yep. And we had ourselves a game. This is one of the most entertaining games in person that I've gotten to watch this year.
I loved every part of it. And I knew, we knew way ahead of time what this was going to be. And it's honestly salvaged the weekend. Mm-hmm. This was the only good game of the weekend. You can look at the score of the Whipsnakes Cannons game, but like it doesn't truly tell the story. That one was in Whipsnakes had mass control of that game the entire time. Even when the Cannons were coming back, you kind of just,
it was like a tale of 2 halves.
Felt this grip. Even the tale of 2 halves, but like you could feel the grip the Whipsnakes had in the game. Like it didn't matter kind of how close the Cannons were going to get; they weren't really going to make it happen. besides Squires really giving him a chance at the end. Colin, bro.
Matt Dunn was crazy for that.
Colin, bro, get it together.
Matt Dunn was crazy. He didn't throw him into. He picked him up like fucking SpongeBob with the jellyfish net and had his tongue out and said, "Colin, you under the bus, bro. Yeet."
He could, I mean, he could have said, "I don't know," but it's not like Stags wouldn't. Stags would have just looked at the film and found out. Like Colin was not safe.
He put it on the record, bro.
Colin was not safe.
They always coming for our guy.
Hey, but when he does score, they don't say nothing. They don't congratulate him or nothing. They be like, "Yeah, he wasn't supposed to shoot." At least say it was a good shot.
What do you say? Fuck me, foe.
Literally. But yeah, the Archers Chaos game salvaged the weekend. And the Whipsnakes did very well in their homecoming.
Yeah, second team to go undefeated in their homecoming, but it did come with a loss as Tucker Dordovic, now on injured reserve with a fractured jaw. Not an injury that you ever want to see, and not an injury I expected to see in person. It sucks because Tucker is such a wonderful, like, young presence in this league, and he was coming back from injury and just getting his footing back under him. No pun intended, because he did have a foot injury. And then takes that hit from Cade Van Raphorst and now done for the year. Who knows when he'll be back? Obviously, we said, fracture is best case scenario in a lot of ways. I haven't gotten a chance to consult Underground Sports Philadelphia injury expert, the OG, on everything, and I'll have that information for everybody next week, just to get his thoughts on all of that and what the process will be like for Tucker. But just want to send our best to Tucker Dordovic, because he is truly like one of those like bright spots in the PLL from a younger player aspect, and makes that Whipsnakes team. He is like the engine. You see how multidimensional they become when he's been in the lineup, and it sucks that he's going to be out. But that's why you go and trade for Ryan Conrad. But yeah, best wishes and a healthy and speedy recovery and successful recovery to Tucker Dordovic.
Also, just want to say this 1,000% should end the anti-tilt bullshit that's going on. Wear your fucking helmet right. Like, that's simple. Not saying that it would have completely like kept him like 100% safe, but maybe a dislocation here, which is then just a pop back in and then he's back playing next week. Or the best case scenario, absolutely nothing, and he's protected like he should be. But because he's got his damn chin strap over his mouth like fucking this, mouth and nose. I don't even know how you fucking breathe like that.
You're not Bane.
But literally, you're not fucking Bane. Only one player in the league is Bane. That's goddamn Graham Hossick.
Literally.
Just wear your chin strap right, and none of this happens.
That
goes for kids. That goes for grown-ass men, professional players. If you're playing the game of lacrosse, wear your equipment correctly. It's not there.
It's wearing a seatbelt.
It's not there to jack your style. It's there to keep you safe, homie. You can make it look better by getting certain things, but don't defeat the purpose of said equipment to look cooler.
Not that I ever want to see a player become an example for something like this, but I truly hope the rules and like safety commission or whatever it is in the PLL look at this and make it a point of emphasis and make it a rule.
I'm pretty sure it is. Because a lot of the NFHS rules are based on college and pro lures. And that's been a point of emphasis to where if your helmet is knocked off, you have to come off the field. If it happens 3 times in a game, you get a penalty. Like it's all these things where they're like, you need to wear your things properly. And if you don't, you will be penalized.
I'm saying like that needs to be like watchdogged almost.
I mean, but it's like almost impossible to do that. Because like you can look at a guy and be like, is chin strap on his chin or is it slightly? But like it's hard to see from that far away. The only way you can watchdog it is if a guy's helmet comes off, he has to come off the field. And if it does it so many times, then he gets a penalty. And then it's on the coach to be like, tighten your helmet, wear your helmet correctly, that kind of thing. That's kind of the only way to go about truly.
There's got to be something, to just make it a point of emphasis even more so, because you never want to see this happen to anybody. And like you said, if he was wearing it properly, maybe it doesn't happen, because I equate it to wearing a seatbelt. If you wear your seatbelt properly in a car, you're more likely to be protected if something were to occur than if not. Which shout out to, no free shout outs, but shout out to Q Collar. We met the Q Collar crew this weekend in Baltimore as well, and they kind of explained that the Q Collar is almost like a seatbelt for your brain, which is a great explanation for that product, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, what a weekend for Q Collar to kind of make some money, literally and figuratively. Things that happened on the field, and both their booth was slapping. So they definitely made some money this weekend. And yeah, if you don't already have a Q Collar, it is definitely something you should look into.
Yeah, no free ads, but shout out Q Collar. Let's get to our Denver recap, and it is brought to you by our friends. Preview. I'm sorry. Brought to you by our friends over at Duracell and their portable power stations. From the #1 trusted battery brand, Duracell Portable Power Stations and charging hubs allow you to power your laptops, mobile devices, lights, speakers, and any small electronics that make your life easier during a power outage or while you're away from a wall outlet. Deej, I can't tell you enough how useful a Duracell Portable Power Station would have been this weekend in Baltimore for a lot of people with the weather and craziness that was going on. We are going to have Duracell Portable Power Stations for a lot of our live events on location moving forward, which is going to be amazing. All of our live events powered by Duracell is going to be one of the coolest things to say. They are true. Like, Duracell is a globally known brand and the #1 trusted battery brand. Why would you not want to charge your devices with anything else? So click the link in the description. Check out the Duracell Portable Power Stations, including their 2024 Red Dot award-winning M150 and M250 models, and untether your device charging from the wall and power the possibilities with Duracell Portable Power Stations. Once again, click that link in the description. Check out the power stations. Check out the charging hubs. They also have one that has a solar panel included, which is pretty nifty if you need outdoor charging. Summertime's not over. There's still plenty of sun, plenty of outdoor activities to be doing. And the best way to do it is keeping your devices fully charged with our friends at Duracell with their portable power stations and charging hubs. The #1 trusted battery brand, Duracell. Deej, it's Denver weekend. It's not a throwback weekend for the first time in a couple years as they go to Denver at Peter Barton Stadium. Hoots on the ground is going to be happening. Going to be an awesome homecoming for Eric Law in a Denver Outlaws uniform once again. 3 things you're looking most forward to from these matchups of Whipsnakes against the Outlaws, the non-traditional version of the first overall pick game in the Philadelphia Waterdogs and California Redwoods, the New York Atlas and Utah Archers on ABC on Saturday at 2:30 p.m., and then it all wraps up on ESPN2 between the Carolina Chaos and Denver Outlaws.
I promise you, the chances of me watching that game tomorrow night are very slim. They're slim, bro. They're slim. I think we're both going to end up 2-8 on the year. I think this is the last win you get, and we're not going to win next week. So yeah, that wraps things up there. And I don't know if I want to waste my Z's, precious hours of Z's watching that game that late. But we'll see what I decide to do with that. The other 3, super pumped for. Both Denver games have playoff implications for seeding and such for all 3 teams involved. And then probably game of the week, 2:30 on Saturday. Like, 2 best offenses, very good defenses. Goalies have been great. I'm excited to see ball for the rest of the weekend.
Saturday is going to be electric through and through. Both games, Atlas Archers and Chaos Outlaws, is going to be awesome. And not only seeding implications, but Champ Series implications too could get sorted out here. And I know right now Stags is punching air because if the season ended today, the Whipsnakes would be in the championship series again. It looks eerily similar to 2023's iteration of the Champ Series, just including the Cannons instead of the who else was in that?
This past one or the
No,
first
the
one?
first one. Oh, the Cannons instead of Chrome.
Yeah.
Which would be the Outlaws, but the Outlaws are on the outside looking in. To that, the Whips Outlaws, I think, is going to be electric as well. To kick things off, I think, Krebs has been playing out of his mind. Owen McElroy's been fantastic for the Outlaws as well. So big time goalie battle there. And just seeing how the Outlaws kind of respond in a homecoming situation, especially like this late in the season, is going to be interesting to see how like that flows. And it was cool to see the Whips, sweep and show that, momentum as the season builds can potentially help you. So we'll see if that helps the Outlaws at all this weekend out in Denver. I know it's going to be packed to the gills out there, and I can't wait to see it on TV. Also, that Archers Atlas game, Matt Moore is probably out. I think the injury report said, if I'm not mistaken, with that sprained AC joint in his shoulder. So looking to see Trey Leclerc or somebody else kind of step up in his absence. And Tom Schreiber thanked me for bringing up Trey in that press conference, and he stepped up admirably, and we'll potentially see more of him in that position for the Archers. And I think that is such an X factor for them, where Trey is so versatile and can do so much, both in and out of position for them, that it's going to be interesting to see how the Atlas kind of game plan for that.
I don't think you can. Yeah, that's the funny
Agreed.
part, is because the tough part is you don't know who they're moving down there. I think at the moment they moved Trey because it made the most sense. He wasn't disrupting their midfield lines at that point because of where he was in the pegging order. But with a whole week to decide what to do and how to scheme that, they could move Tom Schreiber down there if they want to. They can put Grant back down there. Who else is in their midfield? I mean, I wouldn't even hate seeing Ryan Ambler down there possibly. Like, they kind of have their entire board of, and then they get to supplement another midi into this. They could put Dyson Williams down there. Like, there is a plethora of options they have. So you kind of just have to go at this like, okay, we know they're going to have Mac and Connor. How do we want to match that up? Third guy takes whoever they have, and we'll really decipher that last minute when we see who they're putting out there, and then we'll talk about the matchup. That's pretty much how you have to handle that.
Yeah. So I think without any further ado, we'll head on over to the pick pond and dish out our PLL Denver picks of the week, feed some ducks. And our picks of the week are brought to you by our friends over at Kenwood Beer, the official beer partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. It's a refreshing light beer, just 4.1% ABV, 120 calories, just 8 grams of carbs. They are in the markets of the Philadelphia Waterdogs and Maryland Whipsnakes, as they are available in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Delaware. Check out their website and use the Kenny Finder to see who's got it on tap in those markets. You can also get it at your local liquor stores in those markets. Must be 21 or older to do so. And of course, please drink responsibly. Deej, we start with a homecoming matchup. It's the Maryland Whipsnakes against the Denver Outlaws. Whip's been playing on a little short rest, as Coach Staggs pointed out in the press conference, going from California, then playing a doubleheader, and now playing another game going Saturday, Sunday, and now playing on Friday against the Denver Outlaws. How do you see game one of Outlaws Homecoming Weekend kicking off?
Like you said earlier, the Whipsnakes are starting to play their best ball now, which is normally when they do that down the stretch. I don't expect this game to be any different. I got the Whips pulling out a close game, but would not be the least bit surprised to see Denver pop out on top.
I'm going to go with the Outlaws. Not that I think the Whipsnakes are playing poorly whatsoever. I think they're playing extremely well, but I do think like the fatigue could set in for them. You're also adding Ryan Conrad into the mix. No Tucker Dordovic. It's going to be One of those things where you just got him back, but now you're going to have to go to playing without him again and seeing who's going to step up for them. I'm curious how Colin Heacock plays without Tucker, because when Tucker's been in the lineup, Colin has looked like vintage Colin Heacock. So that'll be something to watch for sure. But I'm going to go with the Outlaws to get a win in their first game of their homecoming.
But you know what I said about Colin? If they give him those dodging runs they were giving to Tucker, he should be just fine. But they have not really been alive. And like, if you notice, even last week, he was playing off of that. Like, Tucker would dodge and then he'd throw it back and Colin would re-dodge right away. Like, him getting those opportunities to dodge is where his game comes from. He supplements those dodges from Tucker. We're talking a different game. But if they go through Chaney like they had been before, we might see the old Colin.
We move to the non-traditional first overall pick game, as it's the Philadelphia Waterdogs, the California Redwoods. Not how you and I envisioned this matchup earlier in the year whatsoever. But here we are, nonetheless, 10:30 p.m. Eastern time, real sicko mode hours. I'm going with the Redwoods because the Waterdogs have not given me any reason to pick them to win. They're throwing out different guys who have not played this year. Ryan Conrad's no longer on the team. And I just don't see how they win this game.
You're ridiculous. You're ridiculous. Can you tell me who has the worst score differential in the PLL right now, sir?
Yeah,
and how bad is it? Just how bad is it?
Hey, any given Friday.
Nah, I ain't trying to hear it. Not this given Friday. Dogs definitely win this, and they hand us back the number 1 overall pick like we should have, and we get CJ Kirsten. We move on from RP Tree. Dogs win this one.
We move to Saturday, ABC, 2:30 p.m. Atlas Archers. A lot of just overall standings implications on the line here, especially for the Archers in the West. Atlas coming off a bye. We'll see how they perform. Deej, your pick in the rematch of the one and only first overall pick game.
This is a tough game, and my pick may change. To be honest, I'm wavering this one a lot, but at the current moment, I have Atlas. I think the bye week will give them some nice needed rest, and they're able to come back rejuvenated, ready, and then focused. Because, like, the cool thing about this bye week, and the same thing for whoever has the bye week next week, is, like, they're so much toward the end of the season that now you're just in playoff mode. Like, they had this week to go, okay, this is it. When we go back, we're playing until we're not playing anymore. We're in total go mode. It's all about winning every game in front of us, because if we lose, we're going home. Like, sure, that's not the case this week, not the case next week, but if you already have that mindset, it makes playing in the playoffs so much easier. I think they ride that mindset to a strong start in the game, which they're going to be able to fend off a late comeback from the Archers.
The Archers have responded well, in my opinion, off of losses, even if they have, gone on to lose after that Denver game, obviously, but they've responded well, and I like the way that they've bounced back from losses this season, to which I'm going to do the same. I'm going to take the Utah Archers in a close game, and just like you, would not be surprised if the opposing team, in this case for me, the Atlas, end up winning, but I'm going to go with the Archers. The nightcap, 7 p.m. Eastern time, the final game of the weekend. It's the Carolina Chaos and the Denver Outlaws on ESPN2. Sorry about it, everybody. You can't get sweeps every weekend. That speech Andy Towers gave in that huddle, god damn was I feeling all types of feelings. You know what feels good, motherfuckers? It's when you go into a fight and you come out with the hardware when everyone doubts you. I'm going with the Chaos to get a dub.
They're actually the favorite this week in terms of voting in the PLL. You said you don't get sweeps at every homecoming. And I don't think you get 0-2s at every homecoming either.
Yeah, just one.
2. Well, I guess, yeah, just one. And this one ain't going to be 2. I got the Outlaws taking care of Chaos to keep things interesting over on the west side. Like, with Outlaws going 1-1, Chaos losing, and Archers losing. And in my opinion, the West gets real shaky, which shapes up for bumfuck Utah to be absolutely great.
So there it is. I think this is the first time all year we have differentiated naturally on our picks. Just so everyone knows, we go into these picks without knowing how we're going to pick. So I think for the first time this year, we have different picks for every game. Deej is going Whipsnakes, Waterdogs, Atlas, and Outlaws. I'm going Outlaws, Redwoods, Archers, Chaos. And those are your PLL Denver picks of the week, powered by Kenwood Beer. Deej, any final thoughts before we get on the heck up out of here?
No, I don't think these people need to listen to me babble any longer than I
have. One thing I will say, just on an NLL note, that I'm very excited about, because the Wings have been signing draft picks from last year, which they're allowed to do, I guess, allegedly, because they have the rights to players. Dalton Young is going to be a Philadelphia Wing, so I'm excited to see him play box.
That's going to be awesome.
I think
he's going to be great over there.
Signed Dalton Young along with Stone Jacobs from Vermont and Brandon Hund from Rutgers. So a little bit of a local action there with Rutgers, but great names. I'm excited about Dalton Young. He's had a great year with the Outlaws so far, and hopefully he gets some run with the Wingies. Make sure you guys are following us on the socials at OTB LaxPod across the board. Follow Deej on Twitter at SCS_NextGreat. Follow Chase at the PLL Pipeline. Follow Hoots at Hoot Sport Media. And you can follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the pod, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave a 5-star rating and review. Goes a long way for helping the show continue to grow. Helps more people find OTB and Underground Sports Philadelphia as a whole. Subscribe to Like the Flame and Olympics podcast. That is our Olympics seasonal podcast. Daily content on that feed every single day. Subscribe on Apple and Spotify. Deej, myself, involved with it big time. So go subscribe. Help us out growing that show as well. Subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia and Outside the Box podcast YouTube channels, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers, guys. We're at 822. Let's get to 1,000 before the PLL championship game. And subscribe to the OTB YouTube channel. Let's get to 50 before the PLL championship game. Are 24 subscribers over there, relatively new channel. So go subscribe to both of those. Help us out. Smash the like button, ring the bell icon, leave a comment down below. And of course, this show is presented by Shootout For Soldiers. Register for their Baltimore event at Team USA headquarters, September 7th and 8th, and visit their website to see how you can get involved, volunteer, donate, and anything else that Shootout For Soldiers has available. It's all available on their website. And stay tuned for more of our hero spotlights of the week. Another one coming out over the next day or so with Deej on the voiceover this time. So definitely check those out on our socials and get your tickets for the Stars and Stripes Classic and the Battle of the Badges. All of those are linked in our bios on social media, and it's in the description below. That's all happening prior to the PLL quarter and semifinals this year. This has been episode number 335 of the award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA ranked, viewable on YouTube, and nuclearly pissed off Outside the Box podcast. Thanks for tuning in this week. Enjoy the lacrosse in Denver, and we'll see you back here as we get set for the regular season finale of the 2024 PLL season, potentially with guests. But until then, we're getting the heck up out of here. We're signing off. Peace.
Peace.